Purdue and Illinois tonight in West Lafayette. The Boilers come in at number 3. They've been as high as number 1 this year. They're 4th in the nation in scoring. They're 1st in offensive efficiency. They have just 1 home loss on the season. One of the best sports columnists in the country, Gregg Doyel of the IndyStar, is joining us. And, of course, a great background in basketball as well, national hoops writer for CBS prior to that. Greg, I know you're going to be watching this game closely tonight in West Lafayette. Are you going to Mackey tonight?
Tonight is a game I'm doing on remote. You know, the pandemic has shown us what we can do in person and not in person.
Okay.
And busy day today. I've written 2,000 words already on a local referee going to the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to do that to myself and go all the way to Mackey. But I'm going on Sunday.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about this game a little bit and this Purdue team big picture. You are at your core a storyteller. What is the story that interests you the most with Purdue this year?
This is the season, and they'll never have another one better than this. They're going to have fine teams, but we're never going to see this again. We're never going to see a roster where they've got the best starting 5 in the Big Ten, and their second 5 might be the 4th best in the Big Ten. We're never going to see this again. So this is Purdue's chance in a basketball state where IU's got all the banners and all that. Just ask them; they'll tell you. This is Purdue's chance to put a banner up, and that's the story. I mean, and we've all seen this coming since last year. You could tell, man, they're good this year. We were saying a year ago, but wait till next year. Well, next year's here, and it's fun.
Do you think there's pressure on Matt Painter?
I hope not. I mean, I know that, like Jim Boeheim, until he won a championship, was the best coach who'd never won one and was, I guess, in some circles mocked because he didn't have a title. The tournament, smart people understand that the tournament's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. It's a lot of it's luck and not just who you draw. I hate that. Well, it depends who you draw. But maybe somebody nicks an ankle or just has a cold shooting night in a weird gym. It's just such a fluke. And I hope that if they don't win a title ever, that doesn't dog Painter because he's fabulous. So does he feel pressure? I don't know. Matt Painter is about the most real coach you're ever going to see. Like if he weren't 6'8", he could be the guy next door grilling barbecue on July 4th. He's like, he's just a real dude. So I hope he's not feeling pressure like a typical coach would.
No, I agree with you 100%. All you have to do is think about Isaac Haas and what a great team that was, and one that probably could have won a national championship. So you're right. I mean, you just don't know. And of course, the 1 second, less than a second against Virginia, they were that close, an eyelash away from a Final Four. He's had some great teams. I think the question with this team, Greg, as you well know, is the defense. Do you believe they are good enough defensively? Does it surprise you that we're asking that question about Purdue, given the identity of this program?
Right. They have been, defense lives here is the sign they have at Mackey and all that. It is strange. Not coincidentally, this team does have more offensive firepower than he's ever had. And it's hard to be great at both areas. It's just, you can try. Hard to be great at both. They are great at one. They are great at offense. And I'm kind of surprised their defense is not better than it is, given they've got a 7'9" guy in the middle, and Jaden Ivey can do whatever he wants in the perimeter defensively if he wants to. And they've got other guys. Eric Hunter's a great defender. So, I'm surprised that they're not better defensively. I don't think they're bad. But the thing is that unlike a lot of teams, they can outscore you. And I don't care who you are. Whoever you are, they can outscore you.
These are the 2 best teams in the Big Ten playing tonight, in your opinion?
Yeah, but Rutgers is tied for 6th, tied for 7th. And Rutgers has beaten Purdue and beaten the hell out of Michigan State. So, IU is tied with Rutgers, and they've beaten Purdue. This is, they're the best 2 in the league. I think Michigan's got something to say about it. And on a good day, Wisconsin does too, just because Wisconsin's got this thing where they're better than they ought to be every single year. But yeah, these are the best 2 teams. These are the 2. If you're going to bet money on where's my money feel safest on a Final Four team, these are the 2.
Let's talk about Indiana. They go to Northwestern tonight, a game you can see here on the Big Ten Network. I'm going to be courtside for that one and really looking forward to it. How big a game do you think this is for the Hoosiers, given the stretch they've got coming up over the next few?
Well, they need to win. They start stacking some wins. They're not comfortably in the field yet. They're they're going to get there. But, until you've stacked enough wins, you're not there. They need to keep stacking them and don't want to have any bad losses. And this wouldn't be a great one. And they need to keep proving they can win somewhere besides Assembly Hall. They've won a couple times on the road this year. They're not as bad on the road as they've been in the past. But this is a game, if you're a legit tournament team, and I got to be honest with you, I'm surprised/impressed at how good IU is this year in Mike Woodson's first year. They lost Armin Franklin, their second best player from last year's team, and added some guys in the portal and, signed some freshmen. But on paper, they took a small step back, you would think, but they haven't. And Woodson's good, and he's an NBA guy, and he comes in and they're playing hard college defense. It's very refreshing to watch. Anyway, they need to win this game tonight, and they're gonna, because while Northwestern's big man, I'm forgetting his name, 6'10",
Pete Nance.
good at
the
game.
Pete Nance.
What's his name?
Pete Nance, Larry Nance's son.
Yes. Right. He's good. But he's the kind of guy Trace Jackson Davis can eat his lunch. Jackson Davis struggles against the Kofi Coburns of the world and Zach Edey's, and let's be honest, who wouldn't? But anybody that's just kind of mortal, Trace Jackson Davis. So IU wins tonight because Jackson Davis can handle this matchup in the post.
What did that win over Purdue mean for Indiana? We've talked a lot about kind of trying to restore the glory at IU, and Mike Woodson brought in to do that. What did that win mean psychologically for them and for their fan base, frankly, Greg?
Huge. This is a school with 5 national championships, 3 since '76, and they're living on the past a little bit, and we all know it. And if anybody out there is mad, get with the program. It's over. Those days are over. However, you can't even think about competing for a national championship again unless you can win in your own state. And they were getting run out of the state by Purdue. Had lost, I don't know what the streak. Archie Miller never beat him. Archie Miller was here several years, never beat Purdue, and now he's gone. So for Woodson to win his first shot with Purdue, it's huge, and it mattered so much to the fans here. And they've been waiting a long time. So that was enormous. It was short of getting to a Final Four. It's the biggest win IU's going to have this year.
Greg, I want to change gears a little bit. I want to talk to you a bit about your job. And full disclosure, you and I do not know each other well. So this is not me just kind of trying to butter up a friend of mine. I cannot imagine anyone doing their job better than you do yours as a local sports columnist. And I don't read every newspaper in America. I don't know every sports columnist. But you are an unbelievable storyteller, and you do an incredible job of going to every nook and cranny of the state of Indiana and finding really fascinating stories. What is your process? How do you find them, and what drives you to tell those stories that, frankly, to a certain extent, are a dying breed? I was stunned when you went from CBS to local, because everyone was going from local to national, and you bet on local news, and you've done it so well. So how do you do it?
Thank you, first of all, for that.
Yeah, of course.
That's beautiful. Everybody was blown away that I was leaving CBS for the IndyStar, and I was blown away that the IndyStar was going to give me this, the greatest job in the Midwest. Now I think it's the best job in the country. I love it. First of all, the reason I did that is that when I was at CBS, I was a jerk and a rabble-rouser and a hot take artist, and I didn't like who I was, and I don't think readers really like me very much. And I thought, I want to go somewhere where you really have no choice, but you got to read me 4 times a week, because I'll grow on you like moss if you give me a chance. So anyway, I'm here, and I listen. Not to get too personal, but I just coming off a divorce, left my 2 kids back in Ohio. I was struggling mentally, emotionally, and this job saved me, and it gave me something to throw myself into. And so I adore this state and these people, and they all have a story. Every last one of them has a story. I wrote this morning, as I told you, I'm not going to Purdue tonight because I'm just kind of tired, but I wrote about a local man he's going to work the Super Bowl. He'll be the umpire at the Super Bowl 56. And he's a great guy. Nobody knows his name. And by the time I'm done writing about him, hopefully everybody's going to know his name because he's unbelievable. Everybody has an unbelievable story if you try hard enough to find it. And this state has millions of them, and I'm going to find every last one of them.
Yeah, how do you find them? Do you have like a hot tip line? Like, how'd you find this guy?
Well, okay, you make your own luck. But I've been lucky. You make your own luck by, when I first got here, I was going all over the place to little schools and high schools and wrestling teams. And I was writing about people, all kinds of folks that I kind of just found on my own, asking around. Well, people started to realize, readers realized wait a minute, if he's going to write a story about that, he might be interested in this. And I get that email all the time that says, hey, I read you about so-and-so. I thought you might like such and such. And every time they're right. Now, it might not reach the level that I need to pursue it with all the emotion I try to bring to a story. But every idea people send me is like, that's legit. And so this Brian Neal dude, the referee, I got an email from a reader a couple weeks ago. Hey, there's a local man refereeing the Super Bowl. And I kind of thought, oh, okay. I mean, I get a lot of tips. Okay. I thought, okay, that's nice, but okay. I got an email 2 days later from someone else. Hey, a local guy, Brian Neal. So I Googled Brian Neal. All I got was his LinkedIn page, read the bio of his LinkedIn page, and I'm like grabbing my phone. Where's Brian Neal? I got to find this guy. Everybody has a story if you just look at him.
Well, you tell them extremely well. Gregg, really appreciate your insights here on the Hoosiers and the Boilers and being a journalist in 2022, which is not an easy task. But again, you do it incredibly well. Thanks a lot for your time. I know it's the first time we've had you on the show. I hope it won't be the last. It
will not be the last unless Raphael Davis has something to say about it. Talk about me. But Dave, thanks for your time. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Gregg. Take care, man. The dramatic conclusion of our show coming up in just a bit, but we do want to let you know we have some really sad news to pass along. Rutgers is mourning the loss of former AD Bob Mulcahy. He passed away Monday at the age of 85, the 10th athletic director in Rutgers history. Mulcahy was inducted into the school's Athletics Hall of Fame in 2017 following an 11-year career leading the Scarlet Knights. Among his greatest accomplishments, the hiring of Greg Schiano as the school's football coach for the first time in 2000. We pass along our condolences to the Rutgers family. A record-setting night Friday for the #1 ranked University of Michigan women's gymnastics team as they tied a school record with 4 perfect 10s, 3 of them in a row on the vault. Reina Gugino became just the second gymnast in NCAA history to lead off a rotation with a 10. Natalie Wojcik followed with the 4th perfect 10 of her career. And then senior Abby Heiskell made it 3 in a row with her first ever perfect 10 as a college gymnast. Junior Gabby Wilson also scored a 10 on the floor exercise. The 4 perfect 10s ties a Michigan record set in 1997. The team won with a 198.525 score, the 6th highest score in NCAA history to earn the victory over Rutgers and Alaska. Abby Heiskell joins us now. She is today's big interview. Abby, let's start with this. So what an amazing night for your team on Friday. I guess nothing should surprise us. I mean, you guys are the reigning national champs, but 3 perfect 10s in a row on the vault. What makes this team particularly strong in the vault?
You know, we have to give all of our credit to our coaches, Scott and Miley. They have built such a great vault team in all of us, and they really bring out the best in each and every one of us. We don't really focus on those stuck landings that we're really all talking about. They focus on the foundation and everything that leads up to the vault. So they really set us up for success in the meet, and, you know, we really owe it all to them.
And yet you did stick all the landings. It was pretty cool to see your reaction after you stuck yours. You could sense that you knew it had gone really well. What was your reaction, though, when the score went up and you saw that you had achieved a perfect 10?
You know, I mean, you can never really know how to feel when something like that happens to you, you know. Obviously, shock, but also, you know, I'm like, our team, like I said, is a great vault team. So the fact that we went 3 10s in a row is like surprising, but also not at the same time, because we have the potential for everyone in our lineup to get that score. So I think it was just, you know, happy that we finally got thrown those scores and excited to do it again in the following weeks.
You personally have made some really exciting upgrades here in your upperclassmen years. What are the events that you are most proud of in terms of your progress?
I would say I'm probably most proud of my progress on vault with the upgrade. And then beam, I think mentally, I'm really proud of how far I've come. You know, I've kept the similar routines throughout all 4 years, but I've really progressed mentally. And again, I attribute that a lot to Miley. You know, she has really helped me focus in on the positives in my routine and really helped me get mentally tight on that. So I'm really proud of how far I've come on that event.
You talk about mental progress on the beam, and I'm going to take you back to the NCAA championships last year, and you got on the beam to finish up that rotation for Michigan, and you were the last one, and you needed a particular score to clinch the national championship, which you got, and won Michigan its first ever gymnastics national title. Take us back to that moment. How aware were you when you got up there of what you needed to do for your team?
You know, I've talked about this so many times, and I'm never not nervous to compete beam. But in that moment, there is a sense of, you know, okay, Nat and Sierra went up and got us back on track, so I just have to go up here and do what I've been doing week in and week out. And again, it goes back to Miley mentally preparing me for those kind of situations, and I got up there and just said, you know, do what you do every single day in the gym. And I did that. I got off, and, you know, there was just this sense of relief when I was finally done with that routine. So that was the biggest thing. It was just like, thank God I'm done with it. But yeah, that was really a special moment.
Did you know it was good enough? Like when you dismounted and you had that sense of relief, did you say to yourself, like, did you know the exact score you needed when you got up there?
I did not know the exact score I needed. I knew it was very close because I could hear everyone cheering OU, OU. So I knew it was a very close meet, but I didn't know exactly what I needed. But again, I kind of had that feeling when I landed that we had done it, and so I was super excited about that.
Do you like being in that spot? Do you like anchoring? Would you rather lead off? Kind of what's the mentality? How does the mentality shift depending on where you are in a rotation?
You know, I've never been super picky about where I go in a lineup. I've been the leadoff on bars pretty much all 4 years I've been here, and I love that spot. I love being a leadoff. You know, it's consistent. It's where I've always been, so I enjoy that. And with beam, I've kind of bounced around between different spots, so I'm not super picky about where I go. But being the anchor was definitely a really rewarding feeling, especially when it came to the NCAA finals.
Yeah, it had to be really rewarding to get the national championship for Coach Plocky, too. I mean, she's been there over 3 decades at Michigan. Had certainly come close, has had amazing teams, an incredible program. But what did it mean to give her first national championship?
You know, she's been here for so long, and to be a part of the team that finally gave her the opportunity to hold up that national championship trophy was definitely something really special, and that I know she will never forget as long as well as the rest of us, you know. You can never relive that moment, but if I could, I would go back and do it a million times over.
Take us back through your history a little bit. You started gymnastics at age 5. What got you into it?
So my neighbor up the street, she practiced at Southeastern, which is my club gym, and I would always hang out with her and jump on her trampoline and do all the somersaults and flips in her backyard. And her mom actually said, you know, my daughter, she goes to Southeastern. You should consider enrolling Abby in classes there. And so my mom took me there, and that was the end of it. That was the only sport I did, and clearly I made a good choice in doing that.
Yeah, I would say so. You made a good choice in Michigan, too, but I guess I'm just interested. I mean, so you're from Charlotte, North Carolina. There are some great programs, right? We talked about Michigan had never won a national championship. You know, Alabama has, Georgia has, Florida has, a lot that are much closer to your home. What swayed you to go to Michigan?
You know, I wanted to go somewhere that was a little bit outside my comfort zone. And, you know, the SEC schools and North Carolina schools were very familiar to me just growing up in Charlotte and living there my whole life and going to college meets there. So I really wanted to push myself to go somewhere a little bit different. And then there's obviously, I mean, what's there not to love about Michigan's balance between gymnastics and athletics? And then I also had a couple club teammates who came here before, and I went to camp with them and instantly fell in love with it here. And yeah, so what's there not to love about being at Michigan?
You tore your Achilles at the end of your high school career. So when you came to Michigan, you were still kind of rehabbing an injury. How challenging was it to start your career in that spot physically?
It was really hard. You know, I came in clearly not where I was when they recruited me just because of that injury. It made it a little bit easier because my senior, Olivia Karras, had also torn her Achilles, and my fellow classmate had torn hers. So we were all kind of in the same boat and, kind of working through it all together. But I think the biggest beyond physical was the mental aspect of it, just getting myself back to that point that, you're still this awesome athlete, you're still a good gymnast, and just really pushing myself to get back to that mental toughness that I was before and realizing that, I can still do all the same things that I could before this injury.
You have the option of coming back for a 5th year because of the COVID year. What will go into making that decision for you?
I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do post-grad in terms of job opportunities, furthering my education. So I think considering the programs that are offered here at Michigan, taking obviously academics more into consideration and seeing what there is to offer here, and then kind of going from there to make that decision.
When do you think you'll make that decision?
That's hard to tell, hard to say. Probably here soon, just because we're approaching the end of the season, but hard to say right now.
Yeah, you mentioned the end of the season coming up here. How much pressure do you and your teammates feel to repeat? Is there more pressure than there was a year ago, or is there less pressure?
I think at the beginning of the season, a lot of us felt like there was a little bit of that pressure. We have to live up to the expectations of last year, winning another national title. But I think as we've gotten going with this season and we really hitting our stride, I think people are understanding, last year wasn't a fluke, and if we just go out and do our gymnastics, everything will fall into place. So that pressure, honestly, isn't really there anymore.
Well, Abby Heiskell, congratulations on all of your accomplishments. Really, really impressive. Look forward to seeing what's to come here in the year to come, the rest of the season for Michigan, and then going forward for you. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes out to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.